All right. Welcome. It's episode 4 of New York Football Talks. What's going on, people? At this point, do I really need to introduce my co-host? I probably got to introduce myself, but this is Andre Johnson from Sage Media. And of course, we have Jared Valluzzi, Uzzi Sports, and Coach Mac from Move the Chains. What's going on, y'all?
What's up, fellas?
How's it going, guys?
Listen, man, it was quite the weekend in the PSAL. Just like we said at the end of the show last week, there was going to be some 3-0s. There's going to be some 2-1s.
Sure.
Going to be some 1-2s, and there's going to be some 0-3s. So I think we have enough data to put together a tier list. Each of us have created a tier list. I'm
Mm.
very excited to get to that. We're also going to explain to you what a tier list actually is, the difference between a tier list and a ranking. Um, and it's just a super exciting show. I thought there was a lot of good football, a lot of good results. So first of all, how's the gang doing? How's everybody doing? How's the weekend for everybody?
Doing well, man. Some great football this weekend. Was able to see a couple games. I think things are pretty interesting. I think this week is going to be a little more exciting.
Say the
Um,
least.
yeah, this week is definitely going to be a little more exciting. But yeah, weekend was good, man. Can't complain.
Yeah,
Jared?
mine was also good. Definitely like some interesting results, some not so surprising results, and it was all in all good football, and it made me more excited for this upcoming week, which I can't wait for us to get into.
Yes, and before I get into it, I know this is very off topic. Hopefully everyone had the chance to watch Alabama, Georgia, because
Oh man,
someone tell me that
Yeah, it's
17-year-old's name
crazy.
because I don't I'm gonna get on my soapbox a bit. This is what college football is supposed to be,
yeah,
right? It's supposed to be 17, 18, 19-year-olds playing their heart outs for the universities. Like if you're 28 years old, come on the show, come over here on this side.
yeah, right,
If
yeah.
you're not in the NFL, come in this side and get in front of a mic because I'm sick of watching 28-year-olds taking a spot from you know a 17-year-old coming out of school. So
Yeah.
that's freaking awesome. I just had to say that because that's always something I talk about. But of course, to start, we have to talk about just like we always do, a recap of the game of the week, and that was Eagle versus Madison. Does anyone want to go first? Because I feel like I've spoken about this a lot. Obviously, I commentate the game. Does anyone want to go first before I just kind of go on my little rant?
Definitely. Madison got some work to do. Not this season because I think it's too late this season. But in the off season, Madison has a lot of work to do. Not sure what's going on there. I've never seen. Let me not say never. I haven't seen Madison this bad in a while. Great win for Eagle. Eagle Eagle needed that win. Um, yeah. All in all, I watched the game. At first, it was looking a little shaky, but then Eagle kind of got it together and controlled the game in the second half.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Madison, unfortunately, they just don't have that big of a roster.
Yeah,
That's
I saw
something.
that too, man.
Yeah, no, listen, that's something that definitely has to be worked on, and the growth of the program years going forward because you're playing 4A ball. I like you got like you can't it's definitely less than 30 guys, right? So it's
They
like
Yeah,
had
it's
they
like
had
much
25
less.
on the roster, and then
Yeah,
maybe they suited 23.
that's crazy.
exactly. So it's like you're playing 4A ball with 23 guys. Like that's unrealistic to have, like some big expectations. And I know that's Madison's a great program. Like, in years past, like they've produced some really good talent. So yeah, they definitely, have to work on that. And it was interesting first half. I know Andre, you're really gonna get into it. I guess Eagle was a little sloppy, but they ended up bouncing back. A win's a win. They got it, and yeah, moving forward, is going to be interesting for Eagle and how they do against those other bubble teams in the 4A looking to make the playoffs.
And this is a school with 3,500 kids in the
Yeah,
school.
that's not. Yeah.
Yeah, Madison is Jared. I don't know if you've ever been. I don't know if you've ever been to Madison, Jared, but yeah, it's definitely like a humongous school.
What?
He said 3,500 kids. That's more because, like, obviously you guys know Long Island guy. That's more than St. Anthony's. That's more than some of the biggest public
Is that
schools
true?
on Long Island.
Wow, I didn't know
That's
that.
bigger than St. Anthony's. Yeah.
It's a lot of kids.
3,500 is a ton. Like we're talking.
It's a lot of
Like,
kids.
like what? 900 kids a grade. That's crazy. 400, 500 boys a grade.
Yeah, that's nuts. But yes, to speak on Madison, honestly, I want to speak on Madison first. I actually want to give them a huge shout out because they came with 23 guys. Let's be real, maybe, I don't know, 16 played, 18 played. You know what I'm saying? And like this message right here saying that Madison's defense is legit, I want to give I might butcher your name, excuse me, but number 55, Sayhan Ibrahimovic.
Yeah, he's amazing, man.
That kid, listen, you might end up on some lists. Like, I know that your team is struggling, but you might end up on some lists, man, because he was playing offensive line. If I'm not mistaken, he was the center. He was in on every single tackle. It was like he was taking it personal. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care how many people we have out here. Like, we're not getting walked over. And they absolutely did not get walked over. They put in a very, very valiant effort. Of course, they had a lot of issues on offense. They couldn't really get anything really going. But that defense, that was a proud, tough defense. So shout out to the whole coaching staff and everything, because that team is very competitive on the defense. Of course, offensively, they have some major issues. But, they came with their 22, 25 people, and I thought they put out a valiant effort for sure. For Eagle Academy, definitely want to first give a shout out to Jaleel Tang, number 22. Had a very good day, over 50, 60 yards and a touchdown. Jaleel was definitely, transferred from James Madison, so he took that game very personally.
Oh,
And,
wow.
he definitely put on. And I've been really, really impressed with Jaleel. Very good vision. He's one of those running backs that hits the hole hard, one cut, and kind of get to where he has to go. He's not like a big, imposing guy, but he's very, 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 very good running back. Speaking about good running backs, shout out to my
Yeah,
guy
right?
Ty Sean. I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna see you on Saturday. We're gonna talk about that for sure. So shout out to you, and we're gonna talk about your team. Very. All right, hold on. I know I'm going completely off topic, but just because Ty Sean message,
Yeah.
Tottenham's point difference in the PSAL play is 166 to 20.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
166 to 20 in 3 games.
It's crazy.
Okay, anyway.
It's crazy.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that because that's crazy. Anyway, yeah, so for Eagle, Jaleo, I was really impressed with him. Travis Harris, he is definitely one of the most exciting players in the whole PSAL. One thing, I said it on the commentary and I'll say it here. Like, if you're watching, Travis, I know you muffed the punt in the first quarter. Listen, if you muff a punt, I want to see you go out there and go get the next punt. Like, I saw him, he was kind of shying away from that. You're too good of a player for that. Everybody makes mistakes. Everyone muffs a punt or whatever. Get back out there. That's the only way you're gonna get back for your team. So definitely don't drop confidence. That's for all the young players. Like, I know, like, when you make a mistake, especially in the social media era, you feel like the whole world is on top of you. Is like, nah, it's only over if you quit. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to sound cliche, but definitely keep that mentality. And I understand it's tough. All the 3 of us on here, everyone in the chat was an athlete. Like, we've made mistakes before. So definitely don't put your head down when you make a mistake. Of course, catching punts is not the easiest thing to do. There's a lot of pressure on you, but definitely don't shy away from that. Virgil, number 8, Virgil Leaf. Uh, you know, Eagle was down. No, it was 0-0, and Eagle tried to fake punt and did not get it in the second half, and Madison had the ball on the 30-yard line of Eagle or something like that. So catastrophe was knocking on the door for Eagle Academy, and Virgil, one of the captains on the team, he makes a big hit, rips the ball, and pretty much flipped Eagles' fortunes. Could have been one of the biggest plays for Eagle. And just want to give a shout out to Spencer Ball for having a great game, had a sack on the season. He's been someone who's been in the program since a freshman. So a huge shout out to him. Real quick, we are going to talk about the 3A, so don't worry about that. Guys, anything else on this game?
Not much, man. Not much.
Yeah, I think we got it all.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so yes, so just real quick in the chat, yes, we are going to talk about this game, of course. I am nicknaming this week What's Your Level Week? I'll explain what that means. But that's going to be towards the end of the show. So let's get into the PSAL roundup. And I think the first place to start is Canarsie 29, excuse me, Curtis 29-12 over Canarsie. My guy Dre with the first super chat. Really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, man. Dre is always in the chat.
Yeah.
Like I said, support is, optional, but appreciate you, man. And yeah, of course we're going to talk about E-Hall Curtis, and let's just talk about Curtis right now. And just to give out some stats, Mr. Caratelli, I think he's proven to be one of the top passers in the PSAL. And honestly, one of the things I liked about him this week, which I think, it might sound a little crazy, like I really liked the interception he threw. I know how crazy that's going to sound, but it really just showed me that he's not afraid. Like as a young sophomore, like you can't be afraid to let it go. Like you're going to make a mistake. He made the interception by trying to fit a pass in. Like I'm not really what I'm saying? I'm not gonna what do you think about that, coach? You're an offensive coordinator. Like if your quarterback's trying to fit a pass in, are you gonna kill him on that or
Absolutely, man. I watched some of the clips from the game on YouTube. It's crazy to see this kid's mechanics and
yeah.
him being only a sophomore. The interception that he threw, it wasn't even a bad pass. Like it was a legit pass. And yeah, it got picked off, man. But he's putting the ball up. He's making amazing throws, all types of throws. Yeah, man. Anthony's doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean this Curtis offense is going to be really tough to stop, and I mean they have the ultimate test with Erasmus Hall that we're going to talk about later. But yeah, Caratelli's really stepped up to the plate. It's really crazy that he's doing it just as a sophomore, like Max said. But what about Curtis on the ground, right? I mean, big offensive line, and they got some tough runners. Claudio Gomez, I think he found the end zone a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. And yeah, they also have some other guys in the backfield. They got Mookie as well, and yeah, Curtis is going to be tough. Listen, Canarsie, they're almost there, but Curtis established program, a lot of players coming back from last year, so they had the advantage in that one. I'm interested to see though if maybe they meet down the line. We don't know the seedings yet. Maybe they meet down the line.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I definitely want to mention number 15, Akai Lewis. Mr. Lewis, you are on Star Watch. When I say that, I mean I'm looking at you like, yo, sophomore, you might be one of the next stars if you're not already a star in this league. Kyle Lewis, number 15. I've been really impressed with him. Really good hands. He caught a touch. He either caught a touchdown or two, so I don't have that accurate. But I know he caught at least one touchdown, and he caught two. No, yeah, he caught one touchdown this week, and he caught two touchdowns the previous week. So Kyle Lewis is definitely on Star Watch. And number 5, Evan Dukes. I think we all know how good Evan Dukes is.
Yeah.
Like yes, to me, he's in the top 3 for wide receivers in this league, most likely. I mean, just off the top of my head, he probably is. I mean, very talented player. Um, and again, the point difference for Curtis in the PSAL play is 135 to 24.
Hmm.
So we spend a lot of time talking about like the offenses, but Curtis's defense is really showing up too.
Yeah, man.
Because we understand that the Canarsie team's young. They're going to be here for a long time. But holding that Canarsie team to 12 points is not an easy task at all. And I thought they were tackling the running backs very well, great in pass coverage and all that. But I do want to give a shout out to number 5, Samaje Lowe. Had a great
Oh,
game on
Yeah,
all
beast.
defense, intercepting, catching the balls all over the place. He's definitely a star in this league as well. Anything else on this game, guys?
I mean, you kind of hit it with Curtis's defense because listen, I know Erasmus Hall made it look easy against Canarsie, but Canarcie's got a lot of talent offensively.
Yeah.
I mean, they have weapons. We saw it when they're on the Sage Media game of the week against Lincoln. Like your defense better come to play against Canarsie, and Curtis did exactly that. They showed that they were able to get some stops, and they're gonna need a lot of that this upcoming week.
Yeah, speak about this upcoming week. Shout out to Mr. Moreau. We will be seeing you later this week. We will most certainly talk about that. And everyone who's, I know some people talking about some of the teams they want to talk about, but again, I promise we're going to talk about all the 3A teams. We're going to talk about, you're even going to give shout outs to the 2A and the 1A. So don't worry. We're going to get to all that, but I appreciate that. Keep it in the chat. And yes, Mr. Lopez is someone we're going to talk about. He's been having a pretty good season as well,
who's
and we're
that?
going to talk about this game more in detail. Clinton and Eagle this week.
Number 12 is from what school?
Say it again.
Number 12, the kid, the comment you just posted.
This is the quarterback for DeWitt Clinton.
Okay.
I didn't know he was a sophomore. Actually, that's actually pretty impressive. I didn't know he was a sophomore. Okay, so awesome. I think Jared, it was you who, when we were talking to Coach Wheeler, you were saying how like there's so much young talent at quarterback, right, Jared?
Yeah, dude, it's a lot of kids that like we're gonna see them back next year. Like Erasmus Hall, we got both their quarterbacks; they're gonna come back. Tottenville
God, I
coming
didn't realize
back.
both of them.
Now we're talking about Clinton, and then of course JFK with the freshmen. I mean, there's a lot of young guys out there, and Curtis that we just talked about with Caratelli. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Mr. Brown at Canarsie. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you
Yeah.
can't forget him either. It's like literally the list
yeah,
goes on and on. It's pretty crazy.
yeah, for sure. So the next game to talk about I have on this list is 44-0 South Shore over Midwood. So I think the key things to talk about in this game, Nick Cyrus, 300 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there it is. No, that's what we heard about, and now
Yeah.
we see it. Now we see it. There
Sorry,
it is.
excuse me. If you're saying it was 44-0, my fault if I got that wrong. I thought I saw 41. Let me make sure. Let me just double check. If you baited me, then you're
Yeah,
gonna get
41.
timed out. No, I'm joking. It was 41?
Yeah, 41
Yeah, it
0.
was 41.
All right, my fault. So 41, 41. Not trying to disrespect anybody. Gotta give them their 3 points. Um, so yeah, I mean, Nick Cyrus, honestly, like this is, I'm someone who, I analyze things like crazy. The main thing, come on, it's all about guy in the chat, man, for
Yeah.
real. So the main thing I saw from this, like I said, I overanalyze everything. I love seeing Nick in the Instagram stuff. Like, as crazy as
Yeah.
that sounds, like you see him, he's just getting more comfortable, more integrated with the team. And if you're a team that's been, following South Shore, they're on a journey here. It's a process. And, part of the process is, integrating a new quarterback and everyone kind of getting comfortable. And you just see that, like, you just see, like, he's super loose now. I mean, 300 yards, 5 touchdowns from the clips. I saw that they're working in more routes. Like, a lot of it is was screens or something vertical, but I'm seeing more slants and all that kind of stuff coming. So,
I'm a
very impressed.
little concerned.
Say it again.
I'm a little concerned.
Speak your mind.
South Shore only ran the ball 4 times.
So I actually had Tajay for 3 attempts.
Yeah, you're right
Yeah.
about that. And
according to the site, I mean, hopefully the site's wrong. Before
and
time,
no, I don't know if it's wrong. I think
it's
I
been
think
pretty
it's
good this year. It's been pretty good.
4 rushing attempts. That's alarming. That's wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
4 rushing attempts. Wow.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think that I guess you're like I'll just say you're one bad weather game away from if you have a bad weather game in the playoffs, you might have some trouble or something like that.
Yeah, November weather, man, or even December. Like we're talking PSAL, even December. So it's like that's a good point by Coach Mack because that's going to be really, really important down the line. You're going to have to be able to run the ball to win in this league. But with that being said, still really impressive with what Nick Cyrus did throwing the ball. I mean, he's like really making the argument that he's the top quarterback in the PSAL. So he's really good. And then this receiving core, I mean, right? Like Richard Perkins finally, getting into that groove like we expected. He's been great. Adrian Antoine, Tajay, like all really talented.
So real quick, even that you saying that I think is really funny. You're like, yeah, like we were expecting, 4 catches, 128 yards, and 3 touchdowns. It's like
I'm like
that.
not
That's
surprised.
the bar. That's the
I'm
bar
not
for Rich
surprised.
Perkins.
I'm not surprised. Like there's a reason why he's got like all this D1 attention. Like, listen, I mean, 3 touchdowns. That's a hell of a
On
game.
4
Obviously.
catches. On 4
Yeah, on 4 catches.
catches.
No, trust me,
minute.
that's not the bar. But like he could do that any given week. I feel like if they throw the ball like this, and if Nick Cyrus is slinging it, like they could do that. Like Perkins could do that, and especially because all the other receivers demand so much attention. Like, what are you gonna put? What are you gonna put your worst defender on Adrian Antoine? You're gonna put, you're gonna like just let Tajay run through, So
No, I completely agree. And to speak about Adrian, like 4 catches, 109, a touchdown. Literally every single time I see Adrian, he's catching a touchdown. Hold on. This one, I was really waiting for a chat like this one. Social media is making more noise. Let's see how they are when they play a top 1 team. Okay, let me address this right now because I've been thinking about this.
yeah, you
And
first.
I want to, and you guys, and we've been in the chat, so you guys know how I feel about this already, right? I want to call out all of the South Shore coaches, right? I'm going to call them out, and I want to call them out and say, never change. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Football and high school sports is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun. Keep dancing, keep doing whatever kind of belt this and whatever dance in a circle y'all are doing. Keep doing that. Keep enjoying yourself because you can see, like, I know I've had the privilege of being a little closer to the South Shore program. You see the standards they've set, right? They're dancing, they're having fun, but you better know the whole coaching staff there is demanding everything from their players, right? And the old cliche, if you want them to stop dancing,
Beat them.
stop them.
Sure.
Like I don't want to hear about people complaining about people dancing, people on social media. The team won 41 nothing. Hold on a second. And yes, am I putting a South Shore cape on? Yes, I am. This is why. Because last year they were in the 2-way, right? And everyone said, "Oh, you guys are just in the 2-way." Yada yada, right? So they say, I bet we're gonna put in all the requests to come to the 4A. They do that. Let me read off some of the results. 29-6, 32 nothing, 41 nothing. And now we're talking about social media. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not calling anybody. Well, just stop being it. Don't be a hater. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not good in life. Like, let me just tell you that. Like, just what do you guys think on that? I don't want to just I know I have my little rant, but and if you think differently, it's fine, of course.
No, I mean, the social media thing. It's the time we're living in now. You should be making your program look fun. You should be selling your program indirectly to other kids. Um, they have probably the best social media presence in the PSAL, in my opinion. They cover practices. They have the little question things at practice, and the kids answer the questions. It's amazing, man, what they're doing. Um, yeah, and if you don't want to see the whole BTA and and all the dancing, the coaches dancing in the videos, just beat them, and they won't be dancing in the videos.
Yeah, right. Like they're not psychopaths. They won't
Yeah.
dance if you beat them.
Well, listen, if they dancing in the videos after you beat them, then I'm gonna go over there myself and see what's going on because something ain't right. Something ain't right.
Jared, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts? You're obviously one of the younger guys here, so
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the times we're living in. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not just South Shore. Like, I'm on social media all the time. I'm seeing the belt like absolutely everywhere with all these teams, not even from New York or like different parts of the state. I'm seeing it everywhere. Like, they're having fun, and yeah, that's what they do, and they're winning. But for me, and watching South Shore right now, because of the seeding, they had to be the 16th seed. This isn't surprising me what they're doing. They beat Midwood 41-0. That's not really a surprise. They were probably favored by 42, so they didn't cover. But now you move
Jared, can you
on.
address this real quick? I mean, you're ready. I mean, you just did, but
Yeah,
Oh,
I love
so yeah.
John's 713 comments, man.
No,
Love
right now, like Canarsie can challenge them. They're on the schedule. They got them 2 weeks, Sage Media Game of the Week, and then JFK. So those are definitely the two teams that I think have that possibility on the schedule. Other teams, I think they can play with them, but like I don't really know how close it's going to be.
it. Yeah.
And I'm just waiting and seeing at this point. Much love to South Shore. Much love to their coaching staff. They're doing great things. But for me, like this doesn't surprise me. I'm just waiting and seeing when they play the big dogs.
yeah, and I definitely see in the chat some people are talking about, people, transferring into South Shore. Listen, when you build your program, like those coaches, again, I know I've had the privilege of, getting close to those coaches. When you build those approaches, when you build a program and it's an attractive program, it looks fun, they have all that success on the two-way. Listen, if people decide that they want to come into South Shore, what do you want the South Shore coaches to do?
And again,
Nah, man, like you can't come play, man. We sticking with what we got. What you mean?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the times that we're living in too. It's happening
Exactly.
at every level. So as much as people want to complain about transfers and this and that, at every level from 6U to college, guys are transferring, man. It's a thing. It's something that we can't change, and you gotta adapt with the times. And I see somebody say that South Shore doesn't play Canarsie. They do. It's a non-league game. It's not on the actual schedule, but it's a non-league game. If you go on PSAL and just go all the way to the bottom of their schedule, you'll see the non-league game posted up there. Battle of the Floss is back. I think that's going to be an amazing game. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too.
Oh
We
man.
got coaches transferring. Like this is the time that we're living in, and being on the media side of things, it's amazing to report on. It's amazing to talk about. Joel Ryan is not at South Shore anymore. But yeah,
Here we doing all we can just to keep Jared over here, man. Jared trying to transfer to West, man. Jared hot in the streets, man. Keep him. Everybody trying to transfer.
yo, man, it's the times that we're living in right now, man.
Nah, it's so funny. But all right, so I think that's enough South Shore talk. Shout out to them. And another game of the week, week 7. Don't overlook that Eagle game. That's going to be quite the Brooklyn environment for that Saturday game. So definitely don't overlook that. They definitely have a lot. Did Tajay actually get an offer? Let me know the Tajay offer if you
I
got
think
one. Definitely
Wagner, if I'm
love
not
to shout him
mistaken.
out. Oh, you got Wagner?
Wagner offered
Okay,
him.
great,
Yeah,
awesome.
that was a while ago. That was a while ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if there's any kind of breaking news like that, definitely let us know. Definitely give it a huge congratulations. Actually, speaking on that, a player from Canarsie, King, I just saw he got a Bowling Green offer,
Yep.
actually.
Yeah.
So
First of
congratulations,
many.
man, for real.
First
Yeah,
of many.
huge congratulations, man.
Oh,
All right, so next game to talk about is JFK 44-12 over McKee. Now, man, JFK. First of all, Derek Betances. If we're talking about a player of the year, I mean, Derek Betances is in that conversation.
Mhm.
4 rushing attempts, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. They're like, they go to me. They're like, Uzzi, why do you keep talking about Derek Betances? Like, why do you keep like, because of that? Like, come
Like,
on. I mean, he's been ridiculous this season, and it's crazy. And JFK is rolling, and you gotta, that offensive line is also doing their thing, and they're playing JFK football.
you
Big win.
said this week was what's your level week?
no, the upcoming weekend is what's your level week.
I was about to say, all right, well, yeah, the next 2 weeks will be what's your level week. Because I feel like JFK is doing amazing things. And we're gonna get to our tiers, but they have to start beating teams in a higher tier for me to start crowning them. Same thing for South Shore.
Fair.
That's just my opinion right now.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I think JFK has some really quality wins though, like over Eagle Academy in Brooklyn, over McKee in Staten Island. Some people are saying like, oh, like why is McKee in the 4A? Because their program was ambitious enough and they have a win in the 4A. And I think McKee has been competitive. We'll talk about that in the tier lists, of course. Um, but absolutely. Some people are saying like, I guess people are wondering like, are South Shore and JFK like real contenders
Right.
in like the against the 4 horsemen, right?
5.
You said 5 horsemen?
Yeah, the 5.
Throwing in Canarsie?
I put in Canarsie because I mean you can't have a Canarsie team play a Lincoln team
Yeah.
that close and then not include them in. That's not fair. That's not fair to Canarsie. They played
Right, we'll see.
down to the wire, and then we just X them out.
No. When I'm talking, all right, we'll talk about it in the tier list because that's the kind of conversation we have. But if we're talking about the 4 horsemen, like the 4 teams that run the PSAL, I think it's just 4. I don't know if I can include Canarsie as a team that runs the PSAL.
Oh, we included Lincoln.
Yeah. All right,
I can't wait for
we're
this
going to
list.
talk about this there. All right,
This
let's
is gonna be a
get
fun
through
tier
these because
list. This is gonna be
I'm
fun.
ready to talk. You see, that's why we're getting through these kind of quickly. But I think JFK has got a good win against McKee. Number 1, Edward. I'm not gonna butcher your last name, but number 1, Edward had 2 touchdowns. Number 3, Emmanuel Hernandez Frias. Every time I see this kid, he's scoring a touchdown, 72 yards and a touchdown. And one thing that I was really, really impressed with was Mr. Jeremiah Sinat. Excellent touchdown pass. He does the fake. He's rolling out to the right. He's almost at the sideline. I think it was about 20 to 25 yards in the back of the end zone. Very accurate pass. And seeing something like that, I'm like, whoa, this is a little different here for JFK. Like this is a dimension of their offense that they could really use. So I'm not downplaying JFK's wins at all. Again, we'll talk about the tier list, but great win for JFK.
Yo, we have to acknowledge this guy he's the greatest kid ever, man. I can't pronounce his name. His name is it Muntasir? I don't
Yeah. That's my guy. Yeah.
No, he is like, yo, he said the Midwood offensive line coach transfers to Canarsie. That shit was so Daru. Yo, this kid is hilarious, man.
That's my guy, man. He's always in the
Yo.
chat, man. Shout out to you, bro.
Like
That's
we
my guy,
said
Money,
earlier,
man.
coaches transfer. Coaches transfer, man. Oh my God, that's funny.
No, I absolutely. So, yes, people were asking us a few times to talk about this game. Do it, Clinton, 22-6 over. By the way, hold this thought, please. We are going to talk about the 3A. The 3A is freaking awesome. Those playoffs are gonna be. We said that 2 weeks ago. How lit the playoffs are going to be in the 3A. Do it, Clinton, 22-6 over Utrecht. Tyler Cabasas, he seems to be back.
Yes, sir.
Fully healthy, 165 and a touchdown.
Woo.
The touchdown was a long, I think it was about 30 yards, I think. Number 50, if I remember correctly, he's a really big physical
I think that
offensive lineman.
Hold on.
I can't picture 56. I think is 56 the center?
Rasheem Gordon, number 50.
He's tough. Defensive and offensive line. He's probably 6'4".
Yep. 280. That's what he said.
280, you think? 280?
Yeah, he said my name is Rasheem Gordon. I'm 6'3", 280. He's putting his ticket in for the Rising Stars game. Yeah, so if that's the kid you're talking about, wow.
Yeah, no, he's tough. He's a good player. 56. I can't picture 56 right now, but if he's the center, he's a pretty good player as well. But like I always say, Utrecht is not an easy place to go play, especially coming down from the Bronx. So I think that's a great win from them. Of course, they had a really, really tough week against South Shore. They could not run the ball much. They had little throws here and there. So I think going to Utrecht is a good win for them to get back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Eagle versus Clinton. We are going to talk about that. How important of a game that is. I do like the Clinton receiving core a lot. Pedro Pinero.
Yeah, Pinero.
Is he number 9 or number 6? I think he's number 9. Let me not do that. Let me go look at the roster real quick. I think Pedro, he's 6 or 9. Let's see. Pedro. Okay, Pedro's number 9, yes.
Yeah,
So
9.
Pedro, yeah, he's a really, really good receiver. And Jacob Lopez, number 6, is a really good receiver. I'm trying to remember Coach Vannucci from Long Island Wide Receiver Academy, whatever he calls it. I think Coach Vannucci is one of the best coaches in New York State. I'm pretty sure he said Pedro trained with him. Let me go. Where did he message me from? Or someone correct me if I'm wrong. I may not look at it right now. But yeah, Vannucci is literally.
He's the man.
Free press. I'm gonna give him some free press. I don't care. That's my guy, Mike Vannucci, Long Island Wide Receiver Academy. Let me make sure I get that right.
No. Victor signed off on him. I never heard of him.
Yeah, if you could get him to coach in the for the Long Island team, that would be great. Just hearing his knowledge on wide receiver play is just tremendous. Why can't I find his freaking name on here now? Sorry. But yes, Mike Vannucci, awesome coach. Pretty sure Pedro trained with him. And you could just see that in Pedro's games, the very polished wide receiver. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna put this up. Yeah, Vannucci is incredible. So definitely shout out to him. You guys clip this up and send it to him. That's my guy.
What's his you said wide receiver academy?
Yo, Jared, can you help me?
Yeah.
I'm literally, I don't know why I cannot find it right now. I thought it was
What is
Long
his at?
Island.
You looking for his
Oh,
at?
is it
Oh,
is it
yeah, yeah,
LI?
no. It's LIWR
Yeah.
underscore Academy.
Yeah, I see
Yep.
it. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was just gonna say, and yeah, he's awesome, dude. He's awesome. Trains a lot of the really, really good Long Island receivers and the New York City guys too. So if you guys can tap in with Coach Vanucci, he's trained some of the best.
Yes, I know someone's saying talk about the Clinton defense. We're gonna hold on them because they had a bad outing against South Shore. They did, only give up 6 points, but Utrecht seems like they're struggling a bit this year.
I'm actually
So
like blanking right now. I think we went over this before, but Jelani Anderson on Clinton. Maybe the chat could help me out, or if you guys remember, is he
is that number 8?
injured? Anderson's 2.
No.
He's number
Anderson's
2 on the
Oh
PSAL
yeah,
list.
number 2. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw him playing. I
He's
thought I
playing,
saw him
right?
playing.
I just didn't see him in the box score. He's playing, but he's a really talented player. Like if he's still yeah, I assume he's still healthy.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be really good in the future.
They have a really good secondary with Jelani
Yeah.
at corner, Pedro at safety, number 8. Pretty sure it's number 18. Oh God, now I don't know if it's number 18 or number 16. It's one of the middle linebackers is really, really good on DeWitt Clinton. So we will talk about them more in depth later when we talk about that big matchup between and Eagle and Clinton. Anything else on Clinton, guys, before we move on?
Shout out that sophomore QB. Shout out that sophomore QB.
Yeah,
Very
most definitely.
efficient. He super high completion percentage. Yeah, Cooper Lopez, I believe.
Yes, Cooper Lopez. Big shout out to him. All right. So some of these games now we're gonna move pretty quickly through. I think we all can
Let's do
are
it.
okay with it, right? 38-6 Lincoln over Wagner. Corey Reese, 147 yards, 3 touchdowns. Solomon Dekotu, 2 catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. Talk about efficiency.
2 catches, 2 touchdowns. That's crazy.
Talk about efficiency from my opinion, the top wide receiver. Cayenne had a touchdown, but I think I think Cayenne only ran the ball like 4 times or something like that.
That's crazy.
So one of those games.
Yep.
E Hall, 48-0 over New Dorp. Amir Moreau, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Everybody else had a touchdown. E Hall, shout out to you, New Dorp.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's just really tough. Like
stat games.
And yes, and then finally Tottenville 55-0 over Port Richmond. Real quick, I feel like maybe I do have to start making more of these lists because we make a statement that Solomon Dekotu is a top wide receiver, and then Rich Perkins want to go score 3 touchdowns, try to make you look stupid, right? And then we make that list of the running backs, and I fell into a trap there because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be not controversial. And Mac was like, yo, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Corey Brown, 7 off of 7 attempts. Off of 7 attempts. 97 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Every time you touch the ball, it's a house call. That's crazy, man. I told you. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, that's Corey Brown though.
Damn.
Aaron, can we get some deep analysis on that? Like it's ridiculous. I mean,
it literally is. I mean, dude, like especially. I mean, I know Tottenville hasn't had the hardest schedule yet, but I mean, this running attack. I mean, it's gonna be really difficult to stop. We're gonna talk about Tottenville and Lincoln later, but man, I mean, this T-ville offense is special. And yeah, TYJ in the chat right now. It's funny.
No, but it's really crazy though. 7 attempts, 3 touchdowns. Tyshawn,
Yeah,
4 attempts, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
They're barely running any plays.
Nick Constantino has a touchdown. I mean, it's I mean, a point differential of 166 to 20. Shout out to that defense, of course. I know like the competition hasn't been the greatest for them, but that defense is putting in work. I only saw them against Bishop Moore,
Yeah.
and the defense was having a little bit of a tough time, but Bishop Moore is definitely a very good team from Orlando.
They had like a high
Um,
D1 quarterback. That's
yeah,
a good thing.
he had a Virginia. I think he's committed to
Yeah, I
Virginia
think he's
actually.
UVA. He's UVA. Yeah, he's gonna be an
Yeah, and they have
ACC
a
quarterback. That's a problem.
yeah, their quarter and they have this wide receiver who's like I think they said he has like 15 or 20 offers or something like that. So kind of hard for me to judge that. But no, I like this one from Mr. Cabasas. You're definitely in this room as well. I mean, yeah, the running back room is stacked. I mean, there's three of them in Toppville. Well,
One,
I
two.
mean, I don't know what to call Nick. I don't know what Nick Constantino considers himself.
He's running back. He played running back on JV last year.
Yeah, he's tough. Yo, he had a play. I think it was the touchdown where he gets it was like pretty much a dive, right? And shout out to Michael Trinidad and all those boys
Yeah,
on the
Cyrus
offensive line
Cardona.
because it was literally like freaking Moses parting the seas. Like it literally just
Hey, O-line is tough.
opened up for him, right? But you see Nick, he literally gets in the hole, 1, 2, boom, cuts horizontally 2, 3 yards. Two people miss him, and he gets outside for a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? Like that, and he's only a sophomore. Yo, that's a class of what? 2027? That class, man.
27, yeah.
Yo, the class is kind of tough. I ain't gonna lie to you.
27.
But I do like, as much as we're praising Tottenville's offense, and I know they haven't had to do it yet, but through 3 games, starting quarterbacks throwing the ball 13 times or something like that. Like they haven't really thrown the ball, excuse me. So I want to see if like someone can stop the running game. Like I know Justin McGuire is a very good quarterback, but yeah, I want to see if they can pass the ball.
Yes, and that's something that yeah, we're going to talk about that actually when we get to the end of the show when we preview
Yeah,
Lincoln
we'll talk about it later.
Lincoln Tottenville because that's huge in that matchup. So all right, that is the 4A. We have 6 undefeated teams. We have 2-1 teams, I think, and then everyone else is 1-2, 0-3. I'm pretty sure. So things are beginning to shape up a bit. So that's why again we feel pretty confident making a tier list. 3A. Let's talk about the 3A. We have some scores to go through. I don't have any player stats because again I feel like the tier list talk might go on for a little bit. Fort Hamilton 32-20 over boys and girls. Great win for them. I mean, they are just rolling with that offense. I mean, I should have checked how many points they've scored so far.
Rolling.
Brooklyn Tech 43-20 over Cardozo. They gave up their first points of the season against Cardozo. Now, I missed that point on South Shores. Dang, I missed that point. By the way, sorry to jump back real quick. South Shores defense has not given up a point this year.
Yeah. It was an offensive. Excuse me.
Yeah,
It was
it
a
was an
Madison
interception.
offensive touchdown. Yeah, it was a Madison
Exactly.
touchdown.
I had that in my notes too, and I forgot to bring that up. So, yeah, shout out to them and shout out to Brooklyn Tech 43-20. I mean, they 2 shutouts in their first games. Big win for them. Franklin K. Lane, I probably should have led with them. 13-8 over Bayside. Not to be so negative, but they didn't know what's going on with Bayside because they're really having a tough season, man. And I didn't expect them to
They've
come
had a
down
tough
from the
schedule.
4A.
I think they've had a tough schedule
Yes,
with
they have. That's a very good
APR,
point.
Fort
Yeah.
Hamilton, and then
Yeah.
a sneaky good Franklin K. Lane team who's like they're pretty good on defense. I mean, they've done pretty well there. So, and they have a DB, Cleo, who I've mentioned, who's really good. He had a bunch of interceptions last year, but no, FKL, they're proving it. And honestly, good for them because going into the season, if you told me they were gonna beat Bayside and boys and girls in their first 3 games,
That's what I'm
I would have been
saying,
like,
man.
what? I would have been like, are you guys crazy? But hey, they're 3-0, man. Congrats to them.
No, for real. And now the two, oh, excuse me. So APR 42-0 over FDR. I'm just kind of curious about Mr. Gamble stats. Again, we are not allowed to call Mr. Gamble underrated anymore because every time we talk about
Wait until you see
football.
his stats, Andre.
Oh yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me get this going. Hold on.
Yeah, pull it up. Honestly, I just want to see your
PSAL, can you please update the site, please? The
Damn.
standings. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Hold
You
on.
see it, Mac?
Yeah, man.
Okay. Travis Gamble, let's see. 8 attempts, 170 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Damn.
and then shout out Jaden Padilla too. He's having a little breakout game. He's another good tailback they have. Oh, and Emmanuel
Yes.
Koku, another sophomore quarterback.
Quarterback, yeah.
Another sophomore, man.
He's only a sophomore?
Yes.
That kid can run, man.
Mm-hmm.
That kid could seriously run. Where definitely this game is happening. So this game is not happening this week, but it's happening in 2 weeks. It looks like the 3A has a bye this week.
Yeah.
So correct. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 100%
Yeah.
sure I'm right, actually. So
Yeah.
you know, we'll see what we could do there because that game is crazy. Lehman, 42-12 over Christopher Columbus, and Truman, 32-0 over William C. Bryant. This playoffs is going to be crazy. This playoffs, who it's very interesting, especially through the first 3 weeks, because it seems like all of like the best teams like haven't played each other yet, but then in the second half they all are going to play each other.
It's super interesting because like that's gonna happen, and we're gonna get the Fort Hamilton APR game. I think FKL's got a couple interesting games, but if you look at the schedule though, right now in like regular season play, Truman's undefeated, Lehman's undefeated. If they don't have that hard of a schedule down the line.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
So the King of the North game is the last regular season game. If Truman finds a way to beat boys and girls, and I think Lehman will go undefeated, there's a chance both teams are undefeated, like in the last game of the regular season for like a rivalry game, and then potentially a good seeding in the playoffs. So that's gonna be fun. Lehman and Truman both really good this year. 2 Bronx schools. It's exciting.
Mac, any last words on the 3A?
I'm glad the PSAL is updated the site a little bit because before it wasn't showing the power rankings of the schools. Now it's showing, but the PowerPoints is not updated. So they still got to update the site.
No, it's not updated yet. It's not there yet.
Halfway updated. So you really can't tell because they rank the schools. Let me see the difference for. Yeah, so they rate the schools, and then if you beat a higher ranked school, you get more points. But it seems like they're in the midst of updating the site still, so you kind of got to wait for it.
Okay. Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, I can't wait. The 3A is so exciting. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the 2A undefeateds. Eagle 3 undefeated, Far Rock, Sheep's Head, Springfield coming up from the 1A, the former 1A champions. And this one, shout out to my guy, Joe Gardina, Coach Joe. Long Island City, I didn't even realize they were up in the 2A now. Long Island City also undefeated in the 2A. Coach, I told you I was going to shout you out, my guy, Coach Joe.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So yeah, I love that. I love to see teams, because Long Island City did not win the 1A. Like obviously, Springfield won the 1A. So they are an ambitious program. They make the leap up, and to see them having success is incredible. And when I looked down at the 1A, actually some very exciting undefeateds in the 1A, just if you've been around for a while. FDA, Transit, Grady, and ATEC. So shout out to those undefeateds.
I got a quick question for you guys. I see Coach Pierre from Eagle 3. Eagle 3 plays Sheepshead in week 7. Who you guys got?
Oh wow.
I think this is going to be the
Yeah,
championship. They played during the regular season. It's been a lot of tension in between these two schools. Eagle 3 beat Sheepshead last year in the regular season.
Yeah, it's early. I definitely think I need to watch more on both teams, but like
same.
something, but like because I know FJM they got that huge win over Port Richmond,
Mm-hmm.
and then but I look at Eagle 3. I mean, they're rolling. I
They
mean,
are.
Eagle 3 also like they have dudes that like listen. Oh, it's 2A ball. No, they have some serious players. Like just kind of based off of like what I know of Eagle 3, I'd lean towards them, and if they could find a way to stop Elijah White. But yeah, I'm gonna watch more film though before I make like an official pick.
Man, that's week 7. Week 7 is absolutely crazy.
It is?
Y'all understand? All right, let me read off week 7 for you real quick. It's Curtis Lincoln, E Hall Tottenville, Eagle South Shore, JFK DeWitt Clinton, and then now you're telling me it's Eagle 3 and Sheepshead?
Damn, that's all in the same week?
No, it's all the same week. Like
crazy.
That is super crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Like my guy Dre back in the squad, of course.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes. Sir.
I like that. Oh, all right, guys. We have been through everything. All right. It's time for the tier list.
Let's have fun. Let's have fun.
Red zone. That's funny. What true?
Here we go. It's the time. I like this one, John.
Yeah.
It's time to share out the link. If you haven't, we're getting into tier list talk. What is a tier list? Let's see. Does anyone want to go first? What is a tier list, in your opinion?
It's the quality of football being played right now. I think we broke it down to 3 tiers. Just because you're in maybe a tier 2 in our tier 2 doesn't mean that you cannot possibly be a tier 1 school. It's just the quality and level of football as being played right now. And we kind of group these schools all together, thinking they're on the same or somewhat in the same level of playing ability as of right now.
Yeah, no, Coach. I'd say Coach Mack hit the point right there, and yeah, it's not like an official ranking or anything, but it's kind of just where we see how the teams are, and kind of like the level, the quality, and yeah, what tier you fall into as of right now after this fun first month.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and again, just like my definition of a tier list, I don't think tier lists and rankings are exactly the same. Some people order their tiers, order the schools within the tiers, but again, it's just, to me, it's just like the level that these teams are playing with and who is in their group. So I would say if a tier 2 team beats a tier 1 team, you would consider it an upset. It's not exactly a ranking, but of course, if a team's in tier 1, tier 2, then of course they would they would be considered better. So it's kind of a ranking, but I don't exactly consider it a ranking. So the first tier list, I am going to put Mr. Jared Valluzzi on the spot.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes.
All right.
Here we go.
Here is Jared's tier list.
Yep.
You see some teams from the 4A, from the 3A. Jared, take it away.
Yeah, man, tier 1, I don't really think it's a surprise. We got E Hall and Tottenville. Erasmus Hall, they're the kings of the PSAL. If you don't like it, beat them. No one's done it. They deserve to be in tier 1. But Tottenville, man, they've been close, especially last year, and they return everyone. They are just destroying everybody. They have the best run game that I've seen in New York City. It's pretty crazy. Tottenville definitely similar level for sure as Erasmus Hall. So they're in tier 1. And then tier 2, this is where it gets kind of interesting. I was really close to putting Curtis ahead of these tier 2 teams, but maybe not tier 1. because I think Curtis is really good. Like they beat Canarsie, they handled them, and they've been really, really impressive from what I've seen, especially offensively. So really like Curtis. And then the rest of it, yeah, of course, Essen. I got Lincoln there. South Shore's been rolling. Canarsie, they played Lincoln down to the wire. They deserve to be in tier two, in my opinion, despite a couple tough losses. And Kennedy, man, whoever's been in front of them, they've rolled past and they're playing their style of football. I can't say it enough. So, yeah, I think Kennedy, listen, I had it as, the last team in that tier, and we're really going to see when they play Curtis and South Shore, but I think they deserve to be in it. I don't know for how long. I hope they prove me right, but we're going to see. And then tier three, we'll start off with the 3A teams that I decided to put in. And listen, Brooklyn Tech, Fort Hamilton, and APR. They have been the most three dominant teams, in my opinion, in the PSAL 3A. They've gotten some really impressive victories. They have some absolute studs. Aiden Farley at Fort Hamilton, Travis Gamble, of course, at APR. Brooklyn Tech actually has a variety of amount of players that's just really, really good. I think they deserve to be in it. And I'm going to be honest, I really didn't think I was going to put Eagle Brooklyn in there, but I decided to because I still think they have the athletes, they have the talent to really compete with these teams. And, McKee was kind of close. Didn't really love what they did last week. Also, I do want to acknowledge the Staten Island teams that, have been getting kind of like blown out, like New Dorp and Wagner. They made the playoffs last year. I do want to acknowledge they've had a really tough schedule. Like they had a really hard schedule. Their level of competition that they played much harder than most of these teams, but they didn't do anything, so I could have put them in tier three. And then yeah, shout out to Wick Clinton, man. They beat Clinton. I mean, no, excuse me. They beat McKee, and then they beat New Utrecht. So it's yeah, I gotta go there for tier three.
So Jared, first question again, and Mac, you can answer this too because you did something similar on your tier list, saying that these are not even all the teams. So again, tier list, everyone has their own logic to why they make a tier list their own. So I know the two of you have kind of, you spoilers. You'll see this on Coach Mac's tier list as well. So you two kind of want to explain why you don't have all the teams on here?
Who will make it? Want me
No.
to explain it?
Meaning, like, there's like when you guys sent me the list, you didn't include every team.
Yeah, well, it can't. Every team can't go in the top three tiers. If we were to do a tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, tier 7, then you will see more teams. But in these tiers is tier 1, which is only 2 teams that is playing at a tier 1 level. Tier 2, which is Jared has 5 schools up here. These are the 5 schools that he considers playing at that caliber of level. And then tier 3, the other schools that you don't see on here clearly don't meet the requirements or is not playing at the same level as, of course, tier 1 and tier 2, but they're not at tier 3 either. So if you don't see a certain school on here, you're not going to see every school. And if you don't see a certain school on here, that just means that the schools in tier 3, Jared thinks that can whip your school's ass.
Yeah, there was a couple, like there's definitely some bubble teams, for sure, and I hope we get to do these tiers again because it's really, really interesting. And
Definitely.
also, I know because a lot of people are high on APR. I still think we can't forget these non-league games. Part of the reason why Kennedy's in that tier too. Kennedy ran right through APR. Yeah, that Kennedy team. I know people are like they haven't really played anyone yet. Well, like they beat APR. They haven't played the big dogs, but I think they're in tier two, but that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and also for a tier list, right? And a tier list and a ranking and all that stuff, when you guys are looking at it, it's a zoomed in version of someone's perspective on the league, right? So my tier list does include more tiers, let's say, right? My tier list is more zoomed out than Coach Mac and Jared's, and it's fine, right? If I had 3 tiers, mine might look like this as well. And of course, we'll see. But just so people understand how to like consume this kind of content, yes, this is like a zoomed in version on how the presenter sees the league. So let's move on to Coach Max. Will we see any Staten Island teams? Let's see. So this is Coach Max tiers list. Mac, take it away.
So yeah, tier 1, I feel like it's only 2 schools in the PSAL playing at that tier. I don't see any other school in the PSAL beating Erasmus or Tottenville. And I think the majority of New York City can agree with that. Curtis, tier 2, Curtis, South Shore, Lincoln. I still have to put Canarsie in there because of I cannot not put Canarsie in there going off of that game versus Lincoln. I feel like out of the gate, Canarsie had a very tough schedule. I have them ending the season at 4-4, which can potentially get them in the playoffs. And Kennedy, I originally had in tier 3. I think I got talked out of putting Kennedy in tier 3 into tier 2. But they can rock out at tier 2 right now. I need to see a little more from them as the season goes on. We're only heading into week 4, but we're also considering the non-league games that happen before the actual season. So I guess that's why Kennedy is a tier 2 team. And then tier 3, we have APR, Eagle, Fort Hamilton. Love what Fort Hamilton is doing, and I heard nothing but good things about Brooklyn Tech, and Clinton. I might have been talked into putting Clinton there too. I have to see a little more from Clinton. Yeah, I think I was talked into putting Clinton there. I think I had left them off my original list, but it was brought to my attention that they're 2-1 right now, and yeah, so they beat McKee and they beat Utrecht. They got Eagle this week. We'll see after Eagle where they line up. They got Lincoln, and then they got JFK. So that'll really kind of see if they're in that tier 3 talk.
Mac, sorry. No, keep going.
No. Yeah. So I was just saying, we'll just see if they're in that tier 3 talk, and who knows? As the season goes on, there are schools that's not up in these these top 3 tiers that can jump in. It's definitely possible. We're only going into week 4, so it's still early.
Mac, I gotta ask though, did you put South Shore ahead of Lincoln on purpose, or was it just like?
See, that's what I was gonna ask the same thing actually. Yep.
Or do you think it could go either way and it was just a tier thing?
So I do think no. All right. I do think Lincoln is a better team right now.
I agree.
Yeah, I think Lincoln is a better team. I think if they went head to head right now, I think up front Lincoln will dominate. I do think South Shore has better skills. But if you can't control the line of scrimmage, it's going to be hard to win football games.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to ask about. If you guys look at if we go back to Jared's, it looks pretty similar. Like you said, Lincoln and South Shore are flipped. Now, again, sometimes people don't order their tier lists. Sometimes it's just like the level these teams are at. So that's what I was going to ask you guys. One thing I also wanted to ask you guys as well, that you both have an 0-3 Canarsie over JFK. So do either of you want to kind of talk on that?
JFK ain't played nobody. No disrespect to the team that they played, but JFK didn't play anybody. And when they play somebody, then we can start talking a little more highly of them. But Utrecht, Eagle, no offense to Eagle, but Eagle, and then McKee Staten Island, and then they got Millwood, who's struggling right now. So, and then you got Canarsie, who is just the opposite. They played Curtis, Lincoln, and Erasmus. Like, what are we talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, yeah, Coach Max said it right there, and yeah, I'm not trying to play down any wins. I'm pretty sure that a win is a win, but I think that Lincoln loss is honestly more impressive than these regular season wins that Kennedy has had.
No, so this one is actually a pretty interesting one. I think you guys already addressed this. I think he's saying, and Nappy could correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's saying, based off of your logic, saying JFK hasn't played anyone. Like, how are they in the same tier as Curtis and Lincoln?
Well, they beat APR, which is a tier 3 team, in my opinion. That was a non-league game. We're taking non-league games in the fact. So I mean, and they're winning these games convincingly. They play Utrecht 44-12. They played Eagle 28-14, and then they played McKee Staten Island 44-12. So they look like they rolling. You said look like JFK is better than Canarsie. I would love to see that game. I think as the season goes on, we'll see. I think people are saying that Canarsie isn't good because of one, their record, of course, and two, I mean, it looks like they've been getting dominated because they've been playing some high level football, man.
Yeah.
Like Erasmus, I mean, this is what they on, like a 5-peat, and then they play Curtis, who's been a solid program for years. You not going to the final. You're losing the semifinal. Wow.
No, I feel you. So I don't know. I was thinking about maybe I should have let mine go as well, but your two looked very, very similar. So I feel like I kind of wanted to take a moment to talk about your two because,
Yeah.
I thought it was very similar. Shout out to the 3A teams that are in the tier 3 for you guys. That's
Yeah,
just
I love that too. I meant to mention that.
how incredible you guys are playing. Yeah.
Yeah, I meant to mention that, man. I love that we're able to include the 3A schools in the tiers, and they're not playing. I think APR, Fort Hamilton, and Tech can beat a lot of 4A schools, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree. I honestly agree with that. Makes me rethink a little some stuff about my tier list. But all right,
Well, let's put it
so let
up
me
there.
throw my tier list now. Yeah, exactly. I had you guys. I had you guys up there, so I have a lot more tiers.
Okay.
I have quite a few more tiers than you guys.
I will say
did kind
I
of want
like
to
the
tell
unlucky tier. I like the unlucky tier. I was trying to get to that before, but we'll see what Coach Mac's reaction is to it. But I like it. But no, I'm gonna read the rest. Hold on.
Like I said, so I put you guys kind of on fire or whatever. So like, let me jump into the flames as well.
Whoa!
Wow.
Well, let me hear. What's whoa?
Well, I have a couple. Well, I said whoa a few times. So E-holes.
Should I explain it? Or should I explain it, or
I want
to go?
Yeah, I want to know the difference between
tier
3A and tier 4. Like what's above?
Yeah, sure. So okay, sure. So I'll go. So first of all, E-Hall, I feel like are in a tier above everyone. A team that's won 5 in a row, I don't even think can be with the other teams. Honestly,
Really?
that's just my opinion, and I think I'm gonna have them here until they're like the monster in the horror movie. You know what I'm saying? Like until you kill them dead, like they're not dead. So even if E-Hall, stumble in a game or something like that, until a team ends this streak of E-Hall, they are in their own tier, in my opinion. Tier 1, I know some people were you guys both put Tottenville above Lincoln and Curtis. And in my opinion, and this is not my opinion, let me go over facts. Lincoln went to Tottenville and beat them last year in Tottenville. And then when Lincoln had to go to Tottenville again in the playoffs, the score was 15-15. And there's I don't know if you guys can see it. It's on YouTube. It's 15-15. We're about to go into halftime, and I'm pretty sure someone in the chat correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Tottenville threw an interception, right? So Tottenville throws an interception. So Lincoln is thinking, oh, we can get points before half. The ball is fumbled. The interception is fumbled, and Corey Brown picks it up and scores a touchdown. And then after that, Lincoln just kind of fell apart from there. So I'm not ready to put Tottenville above Lincoln and Curtis just yet. Because I truly feel like Lincoln and Curtis can compete with Tottenville, but I will say, I mean, Tottenville is definitely ahead of them though because of how impressive not only their offense has been, but their defense. What did I say? 20 points, right? That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, their point differential is 166 to 20. Like I know they're playing, they're not playing the top teams, but that's crazy. In tier 2, I do think South Shore and JFK are above everyone in tier 3. This is with the eye test and just what they've done. Kennedy getting those wins over Eagle and McKee, 2 teams I think should be vying for the playoffs. I put a lot of weight on that. I put a lot of weight on what Derek Betances is doing. Like, I'm calling Derek Betances one of the best players in this entire league. You know what I'm saying? So I think very highly of Kennedy. Tier 2 was not ordered because those 2 guys see each other. And I'm very happy we picked that as one of the games of the week. And honestly, I wish that game was happening tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So I cannot wait for that. Canarsie, they're in the top of tier 3. I just didn't feel right putting, a team that's 0-3 in the same tier as 2 teams who I think are 2 of the most impressive, hottest teams in the PSAL. So I have them knocked down because, Canarsie, they do have to play Tottenville, and pretty much the rest of their games, they have to make sure they take care of business to make the playoffs. So can't really I just felt like I couldn't put them in the same tier as South Shore and Kennedy. Eagle Clinton, I think, is very obvious. Those 2 teams, we're going to talk about it after this, but those 2 teams vying for one of those last playoff spots, one of the most important games of the season for those 2 teams. And McKee, I feel like they're, hanging on by a thread, a big loss to Kennedy, but they still have the opportunity. They've won their first game over Madison, or the second game, whatever it was. They close loss to DeWitt Clinton. And if they have Eagle on the schedule, if McKee's able to get it together, they can still sneak into the playoffs. And I want just to make that unlucky tier because these Staten Island teams, their schedule is absolutely insane. Like they're gonna miss the playoffs by default. They're gonna miss the playoffs almost because they made the playoffs before. Like, are these teams? I think these teams are better than the tier 4 teams, and I think they could give the tier 3 teams a run for their money, but it's just their schedule is just brutal, right? Now, just like to address what Jared was saying, having the tier 4 teams over the 3A teams, I do think the 3A teams can beat the tier 4 teams. I will say that. I do think they can beat them, but I'm almost putting the tier 4 teams over the 3A teams by like default. Like these teams are competing against the top competition week in and week out. Does Utrecht have a win this year? I don't think Utrecht has a win. I know Midwood has a win over Utrecht.
Yeah.
But the fact that these teams are competing with the top teams week in and week out, that's the reason why I have them above the 3A teams. And then, of course, for the 3A, these are just the undefeated teams. They're all flying right now. Cannot wait for the playoffs. And most of our questions are going to be answered because I'm pretty sure a good amount of them play each other. So I know that was very long. I know this is a pretty long list, but what do you guys think?
I think some of your 3A schools can beat some of your tier 3 schools.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Unlucky, I love that category. In my opinion, this may sound crazy. According to your layout, I think Canarsie should be in 2 categories.
Yeah.
Tier 3 and unlucky.
Yeah, tier 3 and unlucky. Like, they need to be in both. Midwood, Utrecht, Madison. Yeah, Midwood. Yeah, it's crazy to even say this, man, but they're struggling. They're struggling. Staten Island McKee, man. They
Listen, go ahead.
I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, certain schools need to do a little more. What's their record?
They're 1-2.
1-2. I would put them in the same category as Midwood Madison. I think Midwood or Madison may be able to beat Staten Island McKee.
So let me just read off McKee's rest of their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It is pretty tough. So South Shore, Canarsie are their next 2 games, right?
That's tough.
So they're staring, what's that? 1-4 in the face.
Yes.
Right? But again, my logic is 4 wins could make the playoffs, right? And in their last 3 games, it's Utrecht, Midwood, Eagle.
Mm.
And McKee also beat an McKee beat Harry Truman in the non-league. So again, I know you say, I mean, it kind of contradicts what you said just now, like that the 3A schools the 3A schools are good enough to compete with the tier 3 schools, but in my opinion, I know that the leagues don't always say, okay, these are the best teams, but I do think the tier 3 schools can beat the 3A schools, and probably would beat them if they play at 5, they beat them 3. McKee did beat Truman. And if McKee keeps it together, they might take 2 losses to South Shore and Canarsie, but if they get to that 4 wins, they could make the playoffs depending on what happens.
Yeah,
That's why I have them in the same tier as that tier 3 is almost like those teams that are like scratching for the playoffs.
Yeah, I liked it. I'm because I really like the unlucky tier. Tier 4 makes sense. You got all the unbeaten 3A schools in there as well. So I thought it was I thought it was really good. But for me though, it's just tough to put Canarsie with Eagle and McKee. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. So for me, I put them up, and like Max said, definitely got to put them in the unlucky category as well. I mean, that's a crazy start that they had with Curtis Lincoln and E-Hall. And then when it comes to E-Hall and Tonville, I'll be honest, I was kind of thinking about E-Hall as their own tier, but because of how close it was last year, and T-Ville being so impressive so far this year, I was like, all right, I got to give it to Tottenville, because I genuinely think there's a real chance that they win when they play Erasmus all later this year. So, but all in all though, really good list though. I mean, I just disagree with the Canarsie take.
And that's what this is all for, man. It almost sounds like the 2 of you would, just like you said, would put Canarsie in its own tier in between tier 2 and tier 3, which I think is very, very fair. Honestly,
I'd even put them with Lincoln, man, because they had them.
Wow, up in tier 1. Or actually, hold on. Let me look at your list again. Then
you have to put them with Tottenville. So
I see.
So then for me, it gets odd, because I think, all right, Tottenville they're gonna run. I think they're gonna most likely run through Canarsie, but it was just it's a little bit different. Like, I look at my tiers and I'm like, all right, Canarsie, Kennedy, South Shore, Lincoln, I think all very similar. Like I mentioned before, I think Curtis is a little bit higher. I was close to giving them their own tier, but I think those 4 other teams, they're all right there with each other. And then yeah, I didn't make an unlucky tier bracket, but I kind of wish I did, because that makes a lot of sense. They would have been in their own little unlucky tier.
It's a great comment. He said the fact that McKee made the playoffs last year with a 3-5 record shows me that anything can happen in the PSAL.
Yeah. Things can get weird.
That's a good point.
Sure.
I love that. Things could get weird. And someone saying that we're not taking PowerPoints into consideration, I think we completely have been. Like we've, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why we have Canard, these guys have Canarsie in tier 2. Like I have Canarsie at the top of my tier 3. So yeah, we've definitely taken strength of schedule
I
into
really
consideration.
see, so the only like I guess Power 12 rated schools is Lincoln, Erasmus, Tottenville, and Curtis. Oh no, I'm lying. Oh, Canarsie. Oh, Newdorf. See,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's why
Newdorf,
they called them unlucky. Yeah,
how is Newdorf and Port Richmond and Wagner Power 12? How are you rating?
because they made the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how things are gonna shape out now. Man. Wow. He were massive frauds last year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And he said the fact that boys and girls can go from reigning champs to the PSL equivalent of the Titans is wicked, bro. Oh my god.
A lot could change in it. Hey,
Yeah,
make that a lesson to all y'all young boys in life. A lot could change in a year.
yeah, for
If you're
sure.
up here, don't take it for granted. If you're down here, just keep working. All right.
It's true. Wow, man.
Yeah, so that was fun. Let me know how you guys want me to cut this up in the chat. You usually, are kind of like topic talks I put on the Instagram. This one was a little long. So let me know how you guys want me to do it. Maybe I could make it into 3 different videos, but we kind of all spoke about all of our lists. So maybe I'll make that something on the Instagram, like how I should cut this up. Um, yeah. So to end the show, of course, we have to talk about the upcoming game of the week, which is E Hall versus Curtis. And then after this, I think we can quickly talk about, the other 2 games in what's your level week. So first of all, let me explain why I say what's your level week. And it's perfect because, we make these tier lists. It's not, Jared, I saw that you put it's judgment week for the top 4 teams. The reason why I don't want to say judgment week is because it's so early still.
It is.
You know
Yeah,
what
it
I'm
is.
saying? It's so early still, so even if E Hall loses to Curtis or if Tottenville loses to Lincoln, there's still plenty of time to right the ship. But I definitely understand judgment because these playoff seedings can come down to these games for sure. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a massive week. E Hall versus Curtis. Mac, let's go to you first. What do you think about this matchup?
Man, Curtis gotta come to Brooklyn. Ugh. Yeah. Anthony is my guy, man. I think it's gonna be a lot for the Curtis offense, man, with Erasmus. I think next year Curtis will be a tier 1 school next season. This season, I think they have a little more maturity to do. I think it'll be a close game, though. I think if I had to predict the score, I would go 30, 18. 30-18 Erasmus.
Okay. Jared?
Man, I mean, I speak really highly of Curtis. Like I've mentioned, how much I like them. They're my top tier 2 school. I really think they're the 3rd best team in the PSAL. But you're going to Sid Luckman Field, and I don't think it's going to end well. Like I don't think it's going to end well because this Erasmus whole defense, man. I just don't know how a sophomore quarterback does in that environment going against that kind of pressure and that kind of defense. It's going to be really tough. And then And then the flip side, man, you got to stop Erasmus Hall's offense. Like, you thought kind of going into the season, oh, well, if they can contain Lyric and stop the run, like, you have a chance. Well, now all of a sudden you got Victor Ebube-Anakagu and the rest of this amazing E-Hall receiving core. And now these two quarterbacks are, playing really well. So, listen, I think Curtis is almost there. I think if they see each other in the postseason, it'll be interesting. But right now, I got E-Hall rolling, and it's I don't love making predictions, but I think E-Hall's gonna roll. But it's gonna be really interesting to watch because there's a lot of guys on this field. For a lot of people watching, man, you're gonna be like, wow, there's like a serious level of like guys that are gonna be playing college football, and I think that's honestly what's really cool about it.
Actually, I've been forgetting to do this. I'm gonna do this. I do this before all the games of the week, but I'm gonna make a quick poll so the chat can get involved.
Poll?
Yeah, I can make a poll in the chat. So
Oh,
if everyone looks at the YouTube chat, you should be able to vote on who you think is going to win, E-Hall or Curtis. So you guys can have your voice heard, of course. Um, you might have to go to the actual YouTube thing to see it. You might not see it here. Um, I just have a question for you guys. I've thought about this matchup a lot, and I've thought about me and everyone else in New York is thinking about what's the formula to beat E-Hall, right? And I see Anthony Caratelli. I see Akai Lewis. I see Evan Dukes. And I'm like, okay, I feel like the formula to beat E-Hall is kind of similar. We got a little preview of it when they played Cardinal Hayes. Is that I feel like you need a reason to get them to think. Now, when I say to think, I mean to have to. I feel like E-Hall, what they need to do in most games, put their front seven, safeties stay back, corners cover. Our front seven is gonna tackle. Our corners come up and tackle, and safeties just correct anything that happens. Like it's not even like a complicated formula to me. And I feel like the way you can beat that is excellent quarterback play. Of course, Rich Beelen is arguably the best player in the state, but you saw that with the RPOs. It's like it just tears up a team so much, especially when you have that intermediate play, right? You're not, in my opinion, you're not going to beat E-Hall just running the ball. You're not going to beat them just throwing the ball deep. They're too physical in the front seven, and they're too athletic in the secondary. So what you need to do is that you need to be able to have some intermediate play. Being able to throw those slants behind the linebackers, throw a back shoulder fade or something like that, just so you give them something more to think about. Like the linebackers aren't just going to have their ears bent back and just come and tackle. You know what I'm saying? And watching Anthony, it might be a year early, but I feel like he has the traits. He has the accuracy. One thing I was watching in this Canarsie game was how he was moving in the pocket. That's actually something that I look at Nick Cyrus a lot from South Shore. Of course, people are saying, like, can South Shore do it? Not to put so much pressure on him, but, I do think quarterback play will be the deciding factor. And can you shift yourself in the pocket? Because it's E-Hall, right? There's going to be pressure in your face. How are you going to handle that? So Coach Mack, especially as an offensive coordinator, can you talk about that? Like what you would say to a quarterback knowing that they're going to have pressure in their face and how to deal with that?
that's going to be tough, man. If they can move the pocket for Anthony, that'll be great. Meaning roll him out, have the line slide, and he's kind of throwing the ball on the run, preferably to his dominant hand. That will help him out greatly. But also establishing the run. And if Erasmus is playing a little over aggressive, try to screen him, get him back off of you. But if they don't establish a run game and have a successful run game, it's going to be a long day. And then you don't want to start playing the shootout game. You definitely don't want to get into that kind of situation with that team because it's going to be hard for your offensive line to pass block and pass protect for that long against that defensive line at Erasmus.
What do you think about this, Mac? I think they should not open up with running the ball because of what I just said. I feel like E-Hall is going to be like, yo, let's just come play our football, right? Linebackers, forget the pass. Like, let's go stop the run because even if they pass, we're athletic enough to get back to it. I kind of feel like maybe a pass first approach would help because I feel like those linebackers are so athletic. Quadir Gomez is a great back, and that Curtis offensive line is also gigantic. Like they're just as big as E-Hall's line as well. But what do you think about that? Am I crazy for saying maybe you want to soften them up? Because I just feel like you have to get those linebackers to respect you.
I think this year Erasmus may have probably one of the best or the best defensive back core. Yeah, and
it's crazy.
Yeah, and taking a sophomore and Anthony and just going straight at that season. I think they're all seniors. I don't know if you just want to go straight at those guys right out the gate. That's gonna be tough, man.
The question is, if you hand it off twice and now you're in a third and long, aren't we in a bad situation too?
Oh, man. And you got to start going into your bag of tricks. That's why I said you want to start maybe getting some screen game going, maybe some misdirection going, but going immediately up top. It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough.
Jared, your thoughts?
The first quarter is going to be huge in this game because you saw Erasmus Hall Canarsie. This E-Hall big playability, and especially with what they can do with their defense, blink of an eye, you come out flat, this game's over. But but Curtis, they are one of the best coach teams in New York City. Like they're going to be prepared. They're going to have their guys ready to go. Coach Gammo is amazing, and listen, if they're able to control clock, like one of the comments said before, and they can get that run game going, it gets interesting. So we'll see.
Yeah, and defensively, tackle. I've been really impressed with the Curtis linebackers and their secondary, how they've been coming up and tackling. Y'all, make sure you ice up before the game, whatever you got to do, put on some heavy metal music, whatever needs to get you in that aggressive mood, because you need to come ready to hit in this game. And if you miss a tackle in this game, we don't have to tell Curtis. Curtis has been in this game how many times through history, but if you miss a tackle against E-Hall, it's not just going to be an extra 3 yards. Like it could be house call. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got to be ready to tackle. This is kind of funny. Am I really unk? I guess I am. I have to accept that. I got to accept that.
You know what's funny? What kind of worries me is that Newdorf put up 12 on Curtis. That's not good.
But we don't know the context of the 12, though. Like, what quarter was that in?
That should have never been in no quarter. That should have been in no quarter. It should have been in no quarter.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, it should have been in no quarter. It should have been 12 to happen. Like, yeah, even if you put in your 2s and your 3s, in no quarter should they have scored 12. That's. But all right, we'll
also, one thing I will say with Curtis, 2 years ago when E-Hall had like that really, really good team, and everyone thought they were just going to run right through Curtis. Curtis, well prepared. Gammo had him ready to play. That ended up actually being very close. And I think this Curtis team is better than last year's Curtis's team. And listen, this is still that Staten Island powerhouse,
Mm-hmm.
So this is interesting. Although I do like E-Hall a lot in this matchup, there's no way I'm counting out Curtis.
No, for sure. So we'll wrap it up there. Just real quick. I know we're running late, so sorry about that, guys. But I kind of knew this one would run late to tears, honestly. But let's touch on Lincoln Tottenville. First of all, it's kind of crazy that this game is in Tottenville again, because last year this game was at Tottenville. So kind of unlucky from Lincoln, but whatever, you got to go play. Man, Matt, what do you think about this one? I'll let you have first word.
So this was a rivalry for like the last 2 years. Um, Close games, great games. And I hate to say this because I got so many of my guys at Lincoln, but Lincoln has lost some pieces and Tottenville has pieces returning. So I'm hoping the way Lincoln can compete in this game is not going to be like how they was competing in the other games because those games were shootouts. The scores were like 40 something. It was, let me see from last year. Yeah, last year.
Well,
Well,
the
actually, last
playoffs
year,
got out of hand.
yeah. So the playoffs last year was 43-15. The year before that, in the playoffs, the score was 41-35. Lincoln won. This year is going to be different. They're going to have to kind of have the time of possession because Tottenville's offense is loaded, man, and it's going to be tough stopping those three guys. This is going to be the game that's going to be like it's going to show who's who and what kind of level of football everybody is playing.
Jared?
Yeah, no, I like that take from him. And Lincoln, are you for real? Are you with the big dogs? Can you compete for, a championship? I know it's early, and of course things, especially when these two teams meet, it's actually interesting.
Yeah,
Whoever wins the regular season matchup, they usually
Literally,
play in the
yeah.
postseason and then
yeah,
don't win.
yeah,
So
Yeah,
it,
that's something O'Connor said in the
yeah,
in the
it's
interview.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy, and that's all part of the Lincoln Tottenville bout because they're so even. Lincoln needs to clean their penalties. They can't afford to make those silly mistakes against Tottenville. But the one thing I will say that I'm gonna be worried about is last year in the playoffs for Tottenville, it was very simple against Lincoln. It was give it to Tyshawn Bent and Corey Brown, let them go for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. They're probably going to have the same formula this year. How's Lincoln going to handle it? Can they actually stop those two? And now you had the third player in as well. You had
Nick
Nick in there.
Constantino, boy,
Yeah,
Jesus.
Nick Constantino. Yeah, of course, he's an animal. So it's like you had those three. Will Lincoln be able to stop it? That's really the name of the game. That's going to be fun, and yeah, I can't wait to see it. And also Tottenville, you're fine. You're going against a real deal passing offense. So how's your secondary? Because from what I heard against Bishop Moore, their secondary, and I know Bishop Moore is legit. They struggled a little bit. Now you're going against Solomon, Jakai, these great receivers from Lincoln, and Corey, who's going to sling it. So let's see it, man. There's a chance we see a lot of points.
Yeah, so I think I haven't made it a secret that I'm actually higher than most people on Lincoln. And I think it's maybe I'm wrapped up in the first game, but I don't think I'm wrapped up in it. I value what they did against Canarsie very, very, very highly. Um, to be on the road in that spot where you make so many mistakes and the other not only is the other team winning, but they're winning off of like huge plays. You're in the floss, it's going crazy. To go back into that locker room and to put it together, I think is being overlooked. Um, some people are saying, oh, like they should have been beating Canarsie by more. Oh, look at what Canarsie has done in the last couple of games. Like, no, like I think Canarsie is a very good team. I think Canarsie had all of the momentum in the world in that game. And to be able to, real quick, someone said, who is that? That is Nick Constantino. That's who they're talking about. He's the number 2 for Tottenville on Tottenville. He's super tough. Like watch the game. You'll see you'll find out who he is very quickly. But just like Jared was alluding to, like we talk about how good of a player Tyshawn Ben and Corey Brown are. tremendous freaking players. Tremendous. Lincoln better figure something out because the Lincoln is the underdog in this game. But I will also say, like, Corey Reese is leading the league in passing. He's not afraid to let his man Solomon, let his man Jakai, let his man Brandon Blue go get it. And just like Jared was alluding to, just as Lincoln has a heavy test with the Tottenville running, Tottenville has to figure out how to stop that passing game as well. And that's not even mentioning Cayenne Filbert. You know what I'm saying? They got to see Cayenne as well. And you guys know how highly I rate Cayenne. So, man, listen, I'm gonna be at that game one way or the other. Like, I'm gonna be. I live in White Plains. I'm gonna be in, go to Brooklyn, hang out for a while, then go to Staten Island. I'm not missing that game. Got to see it with my own eyes. I mean, this is just such a massive weekend. And I know it's late, but just real quick, we have to go over Eagle versus Dewitt Clinton. If we look back at all of our tier list, Eagle and Clinton are in the same tier for all of us. And if I look at, let's just choose mine for example, I have these 6 teams. I think, let's be real, these 6 teams are in the playoffs, right? Like, we know for a fact these 6 teams are in the playoffs. So to me, there are 4 teams fighting for 2 spots. So, Eagle Academy, I personally think you guys really have to raise your level after that performance against James Madison. And Clinton had a tough game against South Shore 2 games ago, but they're able to go to Utrecht and get a win. Eagle Academy have to go on the road to the Bronx on a Friday night. It's gonna be a very, very tough environment to play in. Dewitt Clinton is a very, very good team, and this game is gonna show us a lot. These two teams. You are 2 teams that are right next to each other. Who's gonna step up in a big moment on a Friday night? Jared, what do you think about this one?
Man, I mean, we're talking Friday night right now, and I know Max over there laughing. Um, it's gonna be good. Listen, I kind of gave a lot of my thoughts already, and I'm gonna throw it over to Mac.
Yeah, I think Eagle man. I don't know. I don't know. This is kind of the game also to like see who falls where. Because I'm not that high on. I think Clinton is okay. Both had questionable weeks. So this kind of is gonna see where both teams lie.
Yeah, I wanna say it's even matchup. Honestly, like I had them in the same tiers, and I want to see who has like more success offensively because like on any given games, it's like all right, Eagles offense looked really good this week, or Clinton's offense looked amazing last week. So both teams a little inconsistent. Of course, it depends who you play against. So who's showing up to play this week?
Absolutely. So that game will be on Sage Media as the other games of the week. E. Hall Curtis this week. And the game everybody's been talking. Listen, everybody's been talking about week 5. We're almost there, y'all, but we can't skip over this week. I'm expecting another long show next week. Honestly, we might have to skip the PSAL roundup, or we might have to do it really quick because the amount that we're gonna have to talk about next week is
Battle
gonna
of the
be
yeah, the Battle of the Floss preview. That's crazy.
that next week we might not have like a little like session next week. Like maybe we'll talk to an E-Hall person or whoever wins or something like that. I think that would be cool because of how important this week is. But yeah, we have so much to talk about. Previewing the Battle of the Floss, recapping E-Hall Curtis and all these crazy games this week. It's gonna be crazy. Coach Mac, the Franklin report.
Oh man, lost the game that we should have won, man. Oh yes, it was a crazy week last week. Bench to start quarterback, lost by 8 to a team we should have beat this week. We got this Friday night. We got Plainfield. I know we're going into our week 7.
Wow, holy crap!
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So 4, 5. This is week 6 actually. We're going into our week 6. We win this game, we basically in the playoffs. We
Let's
lose this
go.
game, we're fighting
Go
for our
Warriors.
All right, so we're trying.
Jared, last words.
I mean, as usual, I'm excited, but this week, man, I mean, I know what I'm doing with E-Hall Curtis. I'm watching every single second of that. That's gonna be crazy. I can't wait to see the results all around the league. Also rooting for Franklin. Hopefully, they go to the playoffs. And yeah, good luck to all the players in this chat watching. Yeah, hope you all stay healthy, have success on the field, and it's gonna be fun. And can't wait for next week's episode for about 100 different reasons. So let's do it.
Listen, as always, appreciate everyone in the chat for sticking with us. It was a long show. Definitely shout out to Coach Mac and Jared, of course. Listen, man, the calendar is flipping. It's gonna be
Yep.
October tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow the 1st.
Showtime. It's showtime.
Tomorrow's the 1st.
So here we go. Let's get into it. Appreciate everyone for tuning into week 4 of New York Sports Talks, New York Football Talk. And you know where to find us all. We can't wait for these games. So